Hello and welcome. I'm Larry Montgomery, Sr., the host of Crossing Bridges Talk Show. This is my co host, my son, William. Introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. Glad to be here.
Okay. This is a special broadcast and it's dedicated to daughters. Um, why this day versus some other day? Well, why not this day versus some other day? And so we're going to, I guess, have a little conversation about fathers and their daughters. You know, one of the things that we found out over the years is that when there's no father in the household, that things don't really go well for many different reasons. Obviously, the economic piece, number one, but more so from the daughter really getting a full understanding of how to have a relationship with a man. You get that by first seeing that there is a relationship, a loving relationship between the father and the mother. Um, we hope, okay, since there's no law that requires you to get a license before you have children, although you're required to get a license before you get married, you don't have to get married anyway. But for a young girl to be in an environment where she can see her mother and see her father interact, that's a good thing. It's an important thing. The other side of that is there are some other benefits to being able to see your mother and father interact like that from a female's perspective. And I can't really speak for females. I really can't. I can only talk from the perspective of what I've experienced and maybe what I've read or heard, type of a thing. We've talked about in the single parent household where the mother is the parent and she has a young a male. It's very difficult for a woman to raise a man. That doesn't mean that she doesn't care for him. That doesn't mean that she doesn't, from a health wise perspective, feed and clothe that child. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about raising a young boy to become a man. In a household where you have, let's just say, more women than men. Okay. It's not easy for that young man to go out on his own and really have a full and complete relationship with other women because his role changes substantially. When you're in a household with women that are over you, it's one attitude and one understanding of relationships. And then if you don't have any under you, as far as age wise, you really can't grasp how to work with a woman because you have never had that experience. Additionally, and it's been talked about over the years, women have difficulty with math skills when there's no man in the household. Why? I don't know. I really don't know, but I've experienced that myself with my daughter, and she's an intelligent young girl. Both of them are. The one who I raised and the one who was my biological daughter. But as far as learning math and understanding it, there's just some things about it they find challenging. I don't know. When I had to sit down with April and go over math. Didn't I tell you the answer? How hard is this? She got it. She got it. It was, okay, good. Because I sure enough wasn't a math teacher. And sometimes you just need to get the push in the right place, at the right time, to force you. And math is not necessarily an easy thing. That's why they have math teachers. You know,
Mhm.
some concepts are harder than others, particularly, and I say for myself, accounting. Now, I can teach accounting, but there's a lot of it I don't understand. And you say,
Mhm.
well, how the heck does that work? There's a lot of trial and error, a lot of late nights, you know,
Mhm.
and a lot of, I guess, innate understanding after a while. And I have, you know, a lot of experience with math. I mean, especially in the finance area, um, investment area, in the accounting area. Yeah, they're all math, but the concepts are different. And
Mhm.
understanding of it, particularly in accounting. A lot of folks don't understand accounting. You know, you just don't get it, and that's okay. You have to work at it. You have to work at
Mhm.
it. And so I've been able to do that and force myself to understand it. I could pretty much talk my way through anything with that. But I do understand it. You know,
Mhm.
so I guess that's enough of that. I don't want to hog up all the time. Did you want to say something? I mean, you have a daughter too.
Yes, I do. My daughter, she'll be 20 in November, and it's a privilege to be the father of a young lady. Um, she's my princess and love her much. So I do anything for her, you
Mhm.
know, and it's just something about it. I mean, a lot of people think that, men gravitate to their sons, like, okay, I got my son, I'm, but there's a special place for girls in a father's heart, and it I would hate to think about, a lot of females that aren't able to grow up with their fathers in their life. Um, but unfortunately, it does happen, and you know, as fathers, we need to get better with it because it's already a hindrance in our lives, the pressures and stuff that goes on, but it's going to be even more on them because they're going to have the issues of the community and the world on their shoulders, and then they're going to be missing this crucial aspect that builds them up to give them the strength to go to those heights that they need to go to. It's the world is not friendly to anyone, and for people lacking in different social skills, learning how, I mean, for a woman to know how to deal with a man and either authoritative or even as a younger brother, just learning those relationships, can help them greatly navigate through the world. You know, I mean, yeah, they can learn a lot from a woman. They can learn the female side of any relationship, but learning that other aspect, the other side of that coin, is very informational and could definitely add more tools in their toolkit. The more tools you have, the more things you can produce, the more things you can be good at.
Mhm.
Whereas if you only have one, you have to be the master of that tool, and you have to be very gifted in order to be successful. And the chances of that, it's possible to be successful. I'm not saying that it's not. It's
Mhm.
just, more work. Got to be more, diligent with what you're doing, and you kind of really don't have that safety net to fall back on other tools. So if
Mhm.
you only got one tool, you got to use that, and if it wears out, you got luck. You know.
It's kind of hard to use a hammer when you need a screwdriver, but yeah,
Yep. you know.
you'll get that house built. Might be a
Yeah.
little rickety.
Mhm. Yeah.
Rickety.
Find a way. You might. It might be all nails.
Mhm.
That's a hard way to go.
I mean, it's interesting because a lot of this stuff you really don't learn until later on in life. You might hear it, but you really don't understand it, type of a thing. Women are much more emotional than men. And I speak for myself. I can look at a situation or go through something and put it in a box and then put that box on the shelf in my head. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to visit it no more. I don't even
Yeah.
think about it no more. But a woman has different approach to that thing. That box is not closed. That box is like a plate and it's sitting there in her head. And that means it's always available to be looked at. You can't go through it. You can't miss it. It's sitting right there in front of you, and so learning how to deal with men is not complicated. Not complicated people, but things go a lot better when you do understand. It's like dealing with someone who has or driving a car. Have you ever driven a 3-wheel car?
No.
It's a little different from driving a 4-wheeler,
Oh yeah.
or driving a stick versus driving an automatic. It's different. It's still a car. It'll still go, but it's different.
Yeah.
And so the more tools, as you pointed out, you have in your toolbox, the more skills you have, the more experiences you had, or at least understandings, the better it is the easier it is to manage, that. Sometimes, I'm sorry. Let me look at this for a second here, because it's a message from somebody who I don't recognize.
Mm.
Okay, anyway.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So where was I?
Different tools.
Yeah, different tools. Sometimes you may think that something is very difficult, communicating with men, women communicating with men. He just doesn't get that. He probably doesn't. So now what do? You try to beat it into his head, or do you just you just don't get it and just keep it moving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, it might dawn on him. I mean, I've had conversations, arguments, whatever, and made errors. And my wife, your mother, looks at me. Says, "What were you thinking when you did that?" It was like,
Yeah.
but if you don't explain it to me to the point where I can, the light bulb comes on and I say, okay, I got it now.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know that that's not going to happen again, because now I understand it. I
Yeah.
understand where the error was. Your intentions may have been good, and, right on point. I'm trying to do the right thing or whatever, and it went wrong. And they're looking at it and say, how could you possibly have done that? Well, that wasn't the intent, Then you get beat down. So don't beat me down. Explain it to me so I can understand it. And sometimes you have to use different tools to explain things to people. Everybody just doesn't necessarily get it in the right ear. The right ear. Sometimes you may have to write it down for them so they can visualize it. And until you mature to the point where you understand, well, this is how our communication works. And then once you understand, well, these are the things I use to communicate with my husband when I'm at work and dealing with other people's husbands. I got you. So it is important to have a full relationship. Even if the father's not living in the household, that doesn't mean you can't visit. That doesn't mean you can't call up and chat, go out to dinner or whatever, things like that there. Be in their life, And I'm not going to be hypocritical and sit here and say that I've done that well. I haven't, but I do now realize where I fell off and how important it is and was. And so I want to do better myself, and also to make sure that if there's an opportunity to explain to someone else how important it is, than to do that.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
I
um,
definitely agree. That when you're being able to talk to your child, it's it helps them out, whether you're in the household or not. But if you sorry about the noise. Um, yeah, when you're dealing with them,
you're just going to tell them, hey, oh,
huh,
get your own.
uh,
I can believe me.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
All
My
right.
dog, my dog wants to have his say in the matter. But you, you know, being able to talk to them and just be in their life, is for them is magical sometimes. It's like, oh, Dad, you know, and it's something different from the norm. They know that there's somebody else out there that loves them.
Mhm.
Even though you're not there. I mean, even like with myself, I'm in the military. I'm stationed overseas. I'm not spending time with my daughter. It's 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 hard on them,
Mhm.
but even though I was still able to see her from time to time, excuse me, it's still, you know, how they say, like in the military, you're a weekend warrior. If you're like a reservist, they call them weekend warriors. It's like I'm a weekend father, because I'm not there on a day to day. And then every minute that I'm there with her, when I'm able to take time off of work and be there for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, you know, I'm trying to, spend as much time as possible every waking moment. I'm carrying her around and, taking her everywhere. And, I remember when she was real young, I brought her to, it was 2004. I think it was when grandma, my mother's mother, had passed away. And I brought her up for the funeral and I was carrying her, and Aunt Ruthie was there. And Aunt Ruthie was like, can she walk? I was like, yeah, because I was always carrying her. It was like, it was my daughter. You know what I'm saying? I'm carrying her. And it's like, can she walk? Because, like, yeah, she can walk. I just, this is me, holding my daughter. I just
Mhm.
wanted to do that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, life is short, man. Things happen so quickly. And then it's, a fleeting moment, and these memories is, usually what's all you got left, you
Hmm.
know, some of these things. Um, and so if you're a father and you're not in their life, you miss that part, you know,
Hmm.
you can't get it back, you know. So it's important. It's important for many, many different reasons, particularly when it's time for that young lady to become a woman and find a mate. She needs to have a clear understanding of, what power she actually has. Because men, people, we're talking about men,
Hmm.
will abuse others. There's
Hmm.
you can't wrap your mind around the types of things that people will do to other people. There's no rule book saying, well, that won't happen, because
Hmm.
you thought of it is more than likely happened to somebody else somewhere at some time. The capacity for people to hurt and abuse others is just mind boggling. And then again, a lot of people aren't strong as you might think, just because, they get up and they go to work and they put in 10, 20 hours or whatever a day and they're doing what they got to do, doesn't mean that they're mentally strong.
Hmm.
You know, they may have just been able to work, you know, tragedies haven't come upon them
Hmm.
that um, attempt to break your will or break your understanding of people. And one thing I did want to mention was in relationships that women have, and we talked a little bit about it the other week when we talked about generational pathologies. To be in a household and every female in there has a child and there's no man. You say, well, wait a minute. Now, a man did come through there. That's clear. You got a child, but how come they didn't stick?
Mhm.
Do you always pick losers? Or are you just susceptible to picking losers? I mean, what is it? Do you have your scorecard, ready and available as to, well, this is what I'm looking for. Now, it's great to have that scorecard and say, look, on my scorecard, you got to have a job, you got to have a car, you got to have a place to stay other than your parents' house. Let's leave those as top three. Having an education is not necessarily important because there's no guarantee because you have an education, you're going to make money. Okay, so you got a job, you got a car. But a lot of people front.
Yep.
I don't have a car. I'm using my friend's car.
Mhm.
I don't have an apartment. I'm living in my car. I don't have a job, but you just don't see me for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's like, well, look before you hook up, and then buy before you hook up.
Oh,
You know, I don't think anybody should, in their right mind, if you ask them, "Do you have a job?" that they will get insulted. They should be able to, I work at so and so, such and such a place, my phone number, the address, whatever, what's the big deal? You gonna come by? Now that might not be appropriate, but you asked, I'm asking. Um, you have people nowadays, you meet people on the internet. I'm like, sometimes I see the court shows during the day, and woman is complaining, I met him on the internet, and he came by that night and we had a good time and everything. And then I was pregnant. I said, well, okay.
Okay.
What part of this is not clear? Because if you have sex and it's unprotected, even if it's protected, you could get pregnant. Okay. Now you met somebody online. How much conversation could you have with them between the time that you emailed them your address and the time that they showed up at your door? In 24 hours. You talk to them a whole lot. And that doesn't mean that what they said to you was true. Okay, let's just say it was one of those nights where you was just okay. Still not, it's not an excuse because the damage, the collateral, I mean, you let some serial killer into your apartment.
Yeah.
You know who this person is, or they have some sort of disease or some sort of mental issue that, once, you start this relationship, you find out that they're completely nuts. And now you can't get rid of them. So yeah, there's some things that women need to understand, young girls need to understand. And when they become women, they can roll with that. They have a tool in their box. I'm not believing everything that comes out of your mouth because I don't know you like that. Okay.
Trust and verify.
Right. And maybe I have a clock on my list. That means on the first day, this is as far as we go. On the second day, this is as far as we go. When we get down to day number 365, then we can have that kind of conversation. I mean, I don't know, whatever works for you, but at least have some boundaries, because who's going to lose in this game? I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm going to leave my wife for you." Really? If you leave your wife for me, what makes me think you won't leave me for the next flavor of the month that comes by?
Yep.
And that tells you a whole lot. Oh no, he really loves me. He loves being with you at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
When you get up in the morning and your hair's all over your head and your breath stank and you ain't feeling like making no breakfast, does he love you then? You don't love yourself then. So now what? Who's going to tell you this? Who's going to have that conversation with you? So
Mm-hmm.
you understand that, oh, I'm in love. You're not in love. You may be in lust at this moment, but you ain't in love yet. Love is when you there carrying the weight for them because you believe and they've demonstrated that they're going to do what it is they know they should do. They've demonstrated it. They ain't talked about it. They've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Love doesn't come in the first minute when as soon as I laid eyes on them, I was in love with them. You may have a chemistry, you may feel something for them, but it ain't love yet. Not yet. You may like them a whole lot, but it ain't love yet.
Yep.
That's the first time you have an argument, and that fool reached down and pulls out his hand and goes to slap you. Then you're like, oh, my feelings are hurt, and I love him so much. No, you should reach back and get that ironing board, pan, iron, or whatever, and crack that fool upside his head and say, don't you ever do that again. Don't even think about it. Matter of fact, hit the door.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that you can just do that and it's going to be okay, no. Because they've lost all respect for you.
Yeah.
And you have that conversation with them. That's why you get to know people. Well, let me give you an example of this. What would you do? Or what have you seen? Or what do you think about this situation?
Mm-hmm.
You get there, you get those questions answered. And then if they deviate, now you got a liar.
Mm-hmm.
A liar here. It's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem. And okay, yeah, we do. We tell lies. True.
I mean, it's
do you stop lying?
mm-hmm.
At what point do I have to go all 99 miles with you before you tell me the truth? Or is it one step, two steps, and then, okay, you fell apart and you spilled your guts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I need to know that up front. I need to know that up front before I get too much in love with you. And so these kind of conversations, whatever you have with your daughter, it doesn't have to be something that's, all that serious. It's serious. But, you have to make them feel uncomfortable. Like, yo, you're going to sit down. We're going to talk to you about men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The eye on them.
Yeah, you got that eye on them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an important conversation, and it's one that should be taken seriously. Both sides. There was a photo, I guess you would call it, on Facebook the other day. I have it on my timeline. And it was a picture of a guy laid out, knocked out on the side. And so the caption reads, this is Pete. Pete just found out that he's allergic to hitting my daughter. Don't be like Pete.
Yeah, yeah.
So, hey, you got to have that conversation with her. You got to show her that video, that picture. So they I got somebody to call here. If you think you feel that way, and so, it doesn't have to be, the other conversation that you have as a father. Listen, I don't mind going back to jail. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. The first murder charge didn't stick.
They still looking for him.
You feel like hitting something, find yourself a wall, do what you can. You hit her, you're going to have to deal with me. and I'm not going to be playing with you, you know.
Mhm.
So
That's
yeah,
if the brother leave anything for the father to get to, you
yeah,
know. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, oh, before I forget, if there's any young ladies out there listening to us talk, whatever, um, sometimes I mean I've never had this situation myself, but you see a lot of stuff on TV and stuff like that, and I get the feeling that sometimes females feel ashamed. They don't want to tell
mm,
their family members,
hmm,
their loved ones, oh, I picked the bad one, this, that, or the other. He's hitting me, he's beating me, or whatever. And then they wind up losing their lives. And
yeah,
it's like, I don't want to lose my family member because they ashamed to tell me that this person is putting hands on them.
mm,
I'm like, I'm not going to think any less of you as a family member, as a loved one. I'm going to go deal with that person that's hurting you,
mm.
you know. I mean, unless you tell me not to, you're going to have to do some very fast talking, but they don't get dealt with, even if it's just me walking them out the house. Hey, you got to go. You can go the easy way or the hard way, but you're going to leave this house because my sister, my auntie, whoever
Mm.
needs to be in peace. So that's if we have a conversation, if I'm in a good
They
mood.
need to understand that something like that there can only get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he lost his temper. Really? Okay. Uh, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be addressed. Now, does he need to find himself in the morgue? Mm, we
Probably
can
not.
talk about that. But it needs to clearly understand that that's not only not appropriate, it's not acceptable. And if you do it again, if you think about doing it again, you're going to have to deal with me. You see, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna roll over for you. If I have to lay in the cut and run your behind down in the street,
I
it don't
second that
matter,
emotion.
right? You'll get the point.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the way to deal with it. You can't talk to them. Shut your mouth and listen. You learn that after a while. Oh, she just talks, and you know what? Now what? You just figured out what every other man who's over 30 understands. Women are going to tell you how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Period. 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Word for word.
Yep.
When you start to understand you're not going to change that, you just give up on it and say, okay, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, I got to go to the bathroom.
I mean,
They may be standing outside the door talking to you, but
you may feel some type of way if a woman reads you up and down. It's human nature, but you can't let it take you there, young man,
mm,
because
you got to control yourself. It's
you,
hard when
I,
you're
I,
young.
I'm gonna say this to the young men out there, because you if you let her take you there verbally and you change it to physical, your life as you knew it is no longer the same.
Mm,
She's not going to see you the same. If
mm,
she calls the police, your
mm,
future is wrapped.
mm,
Um, are you really thinking that you're going to be able to have a peaceful night in the same household as a person that you put their hands on, that they feel scared of you? I mean, who was it that got the oatmeal thrown on them? Hot grits or whatever it was back in the day. It was talking about, it was a
Listen,
song.
it was grits. It was lie.
Hmm.
you know, trust me, man. Some people you need to have that conversation with way before you find yourself sleeping with them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm bad. I just knock her around and she won't do nothing. You go back, you go to sleep, better sleep with one eye open
Mm-hmm.
because you sure enough will take an ice pick and put it in the other one. You
Mm.
know, some of these women, you don't know what you did when you did that. So let's just do it this way. Put on the top of the list, avoid having to go there.
Yep.
Avoid it.
Self-control.
Leg, right. If you find that you keep running, if your blood pressure is running up because she's running up, this might not be the marriage for you. It might not be the relationship for you.
Yep.
You know, nothing wrong with that. So, man, hey, I got to go.
I gave him my best shot.
Yeah,
If you don't want me,
right.
you know what? I wish her happiness and success. Let me go find my happiness and success, because
And,
your life is worth more to you. Her life is worth more to her.
right.
You know, her family wants her to be happy and healthy. Your family wants you to be happy and healthy. So these are the things when you have to say, let's agree to disagree. Uh, what we had was good. Now it's not. Let's go. You know, see you later.
Right. Now, yeah, you could run into one of those folks who don't know how to let things go.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have that conversation later on.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just give you a warning right now. You're going with someone for any period of time, and you gotten comfortable with them, they're comfortable with you, and then it starts to go south. Don't make friends with their best friend.
Mm.
Don't make friends with their relatives, because you will never get up out of that situation and be the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just nasty.
Mm.
It's just nasty. That was her friend. Yeah. She stabbed her in the back and took you from her. That's a friend you want to be, you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
She do that to her own friend. What do you think she'll do to you
Mm-hmm.
when you cross her? Because that's what you do, cross people. So
Yeah. You gotta be smart.
I mean, you got to be careful with people, because people,
Mm-hmm.
like I said earlier, they have the capacity to do all kinds of things that you would never even imagine they would do,
Mm-hmm.
just cause. And you want to give them a reason to do it, you're not too bright.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, your freedom, your success, everything's on the line. And I mean, one, first and foremost, if you're gonna get involved with somebody, if you have to lie to them to be with them, that's probably a key indication that it's about to go south pretty soon.
It's going to
Because
go
as soon as they catch you in that lie,
right,
it's either over or it's gonna get real bad.
right.
So,
You,
mhm,
you, you don't want to do. You don't want to have a relationship built on a lie, because sooner or later it's going to come to the surface, and then it's like, just cause you thought it would be okay. It's the
it ain't like that.
worst thing you could possibly have done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you knew if you didn't tell that lie, you weren't going to get what you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now you got it, and you think that they don't realize that you just used them. Ooh, we.
What's that saying? Revenge is a dish best served cold. You think you got over 6, 7, 8 months down the road. What? What? I wasn't expecting that. Oh, this is payback for way back when. You
Yeah,
forgot, didn't you? Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't. You know,
right, right.
it pop up on you when you least expect it.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's bad enough that people will do things to hurt you anyway. They don't
Mm-hmm.
need an excuse. They don't need a reason.
Yeah.
But you want to give them a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's, it's a
Well, I don't
scary
think
world out there.
I'll make it. So we're going to say happy birthday to her.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Angela.
Happy birthday, Angela.
Love you.
Love you too.
And you talking to me or her?
Her. I love her also.
Okay. So at least she got that. We got what, 20 minutes maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know. Was there anything else you want to talk about? You know,
I mean, you
or
know,
missed
I,
anything?
I mean, this topic is important. I mean, with young women, young men, relationships. I mean, y'all really, 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 really owe it to yourself.
Mm,
You got to think about it. You owe it to yourself to be straight with your partner.
mm,
Because if nothing else, if you know in the back of your mind that you wasn't honest with them, now you're worried about getting caught. You got to tell another lie, and you're avoiding this and you're avoiding that. That's extra stress, heartache. I mean, as African American people, I'm gonna say as Black Americans,
mm,
we're prone to having hypertension.
mm,
All these health issues. Why add to that? I
mm,
mean, the chances of getting caught, it's risky. Is it worth your life? I mean, you stressing yourself to death. You know, I mean, you got to think about this. You got a lot of people that's sick because they're full of stress
mm,
because they're dealing with somebody that they didn't, that they weren't honest with. So now you questioning whether they really love you because, oh, I told you my name was Ricardo when
mm,
it's really William.
mm,
And I got to sit here every day. I got to remember, oh, got to answer the Ricardo. Got to answer the Ricardo. Oh
mm,
man, she said Will, and I turned around. I was like, huh?
mm,
I mean, when you're not honest about yourself to these people, then you constantly on guard. You constantly worried that something's going to get. I mean, that's going to tear you up health wise.
mm.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, all that stuff. It's just you owe it to yourself to be straight because you want to know that you love somebody or that person loves you for you. You know, and you don't want to steal that from yourself.
Mm.
So that's.
Was watching the one of these daytime shows. I watch Maury sometimes, because he's fun.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
you is the baby daddy,
Mhm.
and um, the ones when they read the lie detector, they do the lie detector things on there,
Mhm.
and like on Steve Wilkos or whatever. It's amazing. You came to this show where
Mhm.
millions of people watch, and you knew you lied. You was lying. And you
Mhm.
went there, and then when the truth comes out, and you stand there looking like, well, I love you. If you loved me, fool, you would have told me the truth before we came out here in front of all of these people.
Mhm.
Now it doesn't take the person who got lied to. No one is there to criticize them or to judge them because they were lied to. They were tricked. Okay. The problem is the person who told a lie and they think it's going to be okay. Or if the guy lied to the woman about cheating or something like that there, and then it was exposed, and then she takes him back. Now she would have took him back if he had told her the truth
Mhm.
early on. But now that you've exposed her to national humiliation,
Mhm.
how do you think that that's going to fare? I mean, eventually it's going to catch up in her head. She's going to think, this fool just played me like it was okay.
Mhm.
I was at the grocery store and some woman walked up to me and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, baby, that man did that to you." And you going out to the car to get in the car with him.
Mhm.
So yeah, she gonna be reminded of what you did. You
Mhm.
know, I don't understand it. I really don't. I see it every day. People do the same thing. What are you thinking? Like it's not going to come back at you some way, somehow. You know, that you just abuse somebody for no good reason. I mean, if you cheated on her, you cheated. All right,
Mhm.
that's one issue. Yeah, you were weak. You fell. You blew that.
Mhm.
But then if she did that to you, what would you say?
Mhm.
Got a whole different attitude then.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you cheated on me. You this, you that. You did the same thing, and you not this and that.
Mhm.
Because men have a double standard there. We do. You know, it's okay for us to run around like a dog, but for you, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a problem on both sides. You know,
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
because you know, you it's on so many levels, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so many different risks, you know. I mean, now I look back on this, you know, yeah, that wasn't right. But it's some people think it's so common that it's okay. It's not common. It's not common. People just do it because they're not thinking,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if you're not thinking, all kinds of things can happen to you, not just what you think could happen. Oh, she'll be mad. She'll get over it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Horena Bobbitt's
Oh yeah.
husband. Yeah. See how she felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't want to wake up.
A little
No,
shorter than normal.
yeah, way short. and,
Mm-hmm.
and the jury's going to say, what do you want me to do? Give her probation? Yeah, okay, that's what she can get. You know, don't
All
do
that temporary insanity.
that. Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. Anyway, you know. All right, man, we down to 14 minutes.
Okay.
I get my commercials in here. Try to get
Well,
it.
for the viewers that we have, if y'all have any suggestions on topics that you want to hear us discuss,
Hmm.
please shoot us a comment, let us know so we can, look it over and try to add it to our for your viewing pleasure. Please get engaged.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll get back on schedule. This week we're supposed to be talking about what? Wealth.
Yeah. It's another edition of wealth management, building wealth, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yes. Very important stuff, folks. Please join us Saturdays, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
New York time. We'll be fine.
Yeah, if you're in New York, you're great. If you're in California, it's a 3-hour difference.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. God bless you. God
God
bless
bless
you.
you all.
And thank you.
Thank you for having me on.